Today's guest is the ultimate embodiment of perseverance and action. Once weighing over 300 pounds, Drewbie Wilson transformed his life, shedding over 100 pounds without fat diets or gimmicks. But that's not all. He's a sales juggernaut, generating over 30 million in sales across industries. Drewbie is also the vice president of a multi-million dollar consulting firm, a best-selling author, and a personal branding expert. His mottos, call the damn leads and crush the day before it crushes you, have become life-changing philosophies. Let's dive into how Drewbie continues to crush it in his life and business. Welcome to another episode of our Founders Podcast. I'm your host, Ash, and this is a show where I interview proven founders and industry experts who share their stories, strategies, and insights to help you build, launch, and grow your business. So I hope you enjoy the show. Truby, welcome to the show.
Hey, Ash, thank you so much for having me. And thank you to the listener for spending some of their most valuable asset in the world with us today, a little bit of their time.
That's so true. Thanks a lot for saying that. Let's start. Do you have a favorite quote, something that inspires you or motivates you that you would like to share with our audience?
You so wonderfully mentioned the ones that I personally live by early on in your introduction. Crush the day before it crushes you, and call the damn leads. And shamelessly, I'm going to put those out there. Those are my two favorite quotes in the world. I trademark them. I say them probably 100 times a day, and they're truly an embodiment to me personally of doing the work. Because I know that if I
Mhm.
do those things, man, life has allowed me to live a lot of experiences, and I know there's just so much more out there for me still.
Indeed, indeed. So Druby, I was really excited to have you on the show, not just because you're a marketing ninja, but also a lot of listeners on our show is either trying to get out of their 9 to 5 rat race, getting into the founder space, or they're already in their founder space. But most of them are focusing on product building, how to make their product super cool or best in the market. And none of them has any ideas about how to get traction, how to generate leads to get the money on the table to feed the employees, right? The bread and butter. So let's start. So tell us about what is called the damn leads, what does the product or service do, who is it for, and what's the main problem you're helping to solve here?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're 100% right. I think a lot of people do focus on the product, and for me, call the damn leads. The main product, if you will, is our e-commerce store. We have keychains, wristbands. You see I'm wearing one of our hats. We sell t-shirts. They're essentially motivational reminders for
Hmm.
sales professionals, entrepreneurs, team leaders, small business owners. If you're in the space of building a business, you know that there's a process to be had. There's marketing and there's sales. And sales requires you to call the damn leads, text the damn leads, send them emails, walk up, knock on their door. There's a lot of different ways to go about it. But the truth is, everyone who's in business or entrepreneurship understands this is a main part of the process is sales. So
Yeah.
that is our front end product. Now, along with that, I also offer some coaching and consulting on how to develop your sales systems, how to develop the marketing strategy so that you know, as a business owner, as a founder, that if you're going to go and invest $1,000, $10,000, $100,000 in marketing and brand building so that you can get your amazingly cool product out there into the world, that you have a way to measure and truly make sure that every dollar that goes out creates a return on the investment, because you can only operate at a loss for so long before people start to say, I don't want to give you any more of our money, any more of our funding, because we're not seeing any sort of result. And at the end of the day, business is about making money. And you mentioned it, you might have an amazing product, you might constantly be tweaking it and trying to make it better, but if it doesn't help the market, if the market isn't saying this is an amazing product and we need more people to know about it, is it really going to do any good?
Exactly, exactly. And you have touched that pain point of every founder's life, where they always looking for, the perfect product, the perfect service, the perfect solution, and they never stop learning. And that's the beauty of it. They never stop learning. And you have touched that pain point of every founder's life, where they always looking for, the perfect product, the perfect service, the perfect solution, and they never stop learning. not just help, but literally hand holding, if you know what I mean, right? They want, oh, I don't have time for um I don't know, LinkedIn webinars or advertising on Facebook or this. Oh, let me hire somebody whom I've been following on LinkedIn from, like, I don't know, 2 years while I was building my product. But all these things require capital. It is a capex for your business, right? And when you're starting a business, you don't really have that capacity to invest that much on the marketing. So today, I want to uncover all these secrets from your brain, all this golden nugget, right? Which our listeners, our founders can utilize in their real life, in their businesses, and then leverage them, to understand how the market works as well as generate more leads. So let's first go to the part where we say, what inspired you what inspired you to adopt the mindset of the crush the day before it crushes you, and how has it transformed your daily life? And then we will jump on to the golden nuggets parts.
Yeah, absolutely. So, crush the day before it crushes you is my original mindset motivation mantra. So, as you had mentioned, at one point in my life, I tipped the scales over 300 pounds. Now, I'm 6'2", so I'm not like a small guy, but even a 6'2" person at 300 pounds is a rather large fella.
Yeah.
And so I was not healthy. I was unhappy. And in my career, I was a sales professional. I sold insurance for someone who owned an agency. I was a producer.
Hmm.
And I decided that I wasn't happy, even though I had a decent job and my bills were paid and I had a beautiful wife and a house and all these things. Like, I didn't feel fulfilled. So I decided that I wanted to get more out of life. I wanted to make more money so that I could do more cool things. I wanted to feel happier. And I found personal development. So, I went on YouTube and was like, how do I get motivated? Which is a silly thing to put into YouTube, but imagine that's how SEO and search works. So I went there and said, how do I get motivated? And I found guys like Jim Rohn, Eric Thomas, a hip hop preacher, Zig Ziglar, some of those more famous gurus or mindset. I read Think and Grow Rich, all the things that we do as founders when we start getting into this space. And
Mm.
one quote in particular really hit me hard, because I was making an effort that I would get up early every day and I would just go for a walk, because I didn't really like going to the gym. I didn't want to work out. I was like, if I can just get up and go for a walk, things will start happening and it kind of gets the gears moving. And I was listening to a Jim Rohn piece about, either you run the day or the day runs you. And I was thinking, like, man, that's so true. Because if I get up and I look at my phone and I start seeing Facebook or social media or some news, a political article, and I get all in a tizzy about something that I really don't have any control over, that's just going on around me, it's easy to let that ruin my whole day. It's easy to turn on the news and see murder, fire, arson, robbery, death. Oh, it's somebody's birthday, a celebrity, back to murder, death. Like, it's so easy to have the day just absolutely overwhelm you. And I
Mm.
was guilty of letting that happen. And so for me, I knew I needed to make a change in how I thought about my morning routine and how I approached the day every day, because I knew if I could just be grateful in the morning, get my workout done, and focus on the things that were important to me first, all the other stuff that went on wasn't that big a deal. And
Mm.
I knew at the time branding was an important thing. So I saw a bunch of other famous people that had these little taglines and quotes. So, Nike, just do it. And yada, yada. So I was like, well, I can't use what Jim said, but I can say my own version is like, hey, I'm going to crush the day before it crushes me. Crush it. And I would
Mm.
just look at myself in the mirror and go, crush the day before it crushes you, Drewbie, because you've got that opportunity. You can do this. You get to make a choice on how you tackle the day. And so that's what I would say to myself every single day. And it kept me motivated. And I started using it on social media, and I put out a hashtag, and other people who saw me posting my douchey 5 a.m. gym selfies where I was like, you know what, I'm here again every day, like putting in the work. People started messaging me and being like, hey, man, I woke up and I was going to skip my workout, but I opened social media and you were the first guy that I saw telling me to crush the day before it crushes you. So, like, hey, bro, I just want you to know I crushed the day today. I appreciate
Yeah.
you for sharing that. And that's why I lean so heavy on that, because it has made such a difference in my life. And through sharing that story, it is helping others make that same decision to improve their lives, and that's part of my bigger mission.
Indeed, indeed. So let's start collecting some nuggets. If Drewbie have to start again, fresh 2024, young 22-year-old guy, 6 feet 2 inch taller, built up and everything, got fairy dust, which has all these things coming to your brain, like how the real world marketing and sales and traction works. And Ruby has this idea. Okay, I am creating an AI SaaS product, sort of software as a service, right? Uses AI in the background, and I want to make $1 million in a year. What's the step-by-step plan Ruby will follow, considering having so much successful in the last decade?
Okay, so I am 20-ish years old, assuming I have all of the same knowledge I have now, which would be really difficult because I have 37 years of knowledge. So you'd have to compress a lot of time. But Ash, just for this fun example, I'm 22 years old. I know AI is this really popular thing that's going on right now. I want to launch an AI SaaS product that's going to make me $1 million in the first year. The number one thing that I'm going to do is ask myself, what is the most common problem people have that AI can solve for them? Because that's the first thing you need to figure out. What problem are you solving for people? Because that's what they typically will pay you to do. They want you to solve the problem that they cannot solve themselves, which is typically they want out of the pain that they're in, or they're in some kind of like okay area and they want to get into pleasure of some sort. But my guess is if you're starting AI SaaS, you're trying to help them with a pain point, which is likely time. They don't have time to learn how to do XYZ, to create XYZ. Well, guess what? AI is a fantastic tool to do that. So let me narrow it down into, I know very specifically, real estate agents don't really want to spend the time to create email sequences or write follow-up text messages or create landing page copy. And so because I know real estate agents typically have a good margin on their products and services, like when they sell a home, they don't make little money, they make good money. So if I can help a real estate agent get one additional deal per quarter, that's 4 deals a year, which is honestly more than most real estate agents sell, but just in general, then it would be worth probably $5,000 to them to spend to buy my product. So if I can go and train an AI tool that will create landing page, email sequences, and text follow-up for a real estate agent, and I know that it will help them close one additional deal every quarter, I can sell it for $5,000. And now my only goal is to go and find, what's the math on that? 200 real estate agents who want to save 5 to 10 hours a month by not having to write their own emails and sequences. There are 20,000 or 200,000 real estate agents or some crazy number. You can't tell them. Go find 1.001% of them, sell them your SaaS product, and you made $1 million.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Let's say you have found the common problem, which is the real estate agent marketing and sales issues, right? What are the next steps you're going to do?
So next steps from there is you have to build a minimum viable product. You have to have proof of concept. So from there, I'm going to create the little tool that actually does the thing that I say it's going to do. And from there, I'm going to look for who do I know in that space that already know, likes, and trusts me based on who I am as a person, and ask them if they'll let me demo it for them. Hey, man, you're a friend of mine. You're in this space. I'm creating this tool. Would you be interested in checking it out and giving me your feedback on what you think?
So you're saying that you're going to follow the outbound marketing technique.
That's really, I mean, like that's the next step. Does the thing actually get the result that they are looking for? And if it does, where do they feel as though it needs minor tweaks or adjustments to be something they would actually use in their own business? Because if they're willing to use it in their own business, it's likely other people will be willing to pay to solve that same problem.
Cool. So let's say you exhausted your contact list, 3,000 contacts. Next, what are the different approaches you will do?
All right, so there's a couple different ways you can go about it from here. And again, my assumption is we're doing this without having any sort of funding or marketing budget, right? So we're
Yeah.
we're kind of grassroots bootstrapping this bad boy. So from there, we have the option of going to social media, which is a free platform with bajillions of users, of which you only need a small portion.
Well,
It has about a gazillion users on social media, and you only need a small portion of them.
mm,
So you can start creating content or going into the specific niche industry groups that exist on those platforms and start seeking out your ideal client base because they exist. You can go and find public communities that have groups of thousands of real estate agents or contractors or entrepreneurs or people interested in investing in businesses. There's groups for everything out there. The other
mhm.
option would then be going and saying, okay, if I know that my specific niche, let's just use real estate for this example, has a list of the top 1,000 producers in the industry. All right, let me go pull that list and start calling them one by one. Because if they're a top producer, they're making money already, and they're probably not afraid to invest in different ideas or tactics that could help them be more efficient, effective, or successful. So
Perfect.
then you just start reaching out to those people and having conversations.
Perfect. So call your network, get onto social media, generate content as much as possible, then connect with public real estate communities, and then potentially reach out to the top players in the industry. Great.
Yep.
Next step. And I guess this is going to be the last step where you're going to fill your account with $1 billion, with $1 million.
I mean, the truth of the matter is it's all just testing and fine tuning from there.
Mm,
Anyone who's ever founded a business will tell you their initial idea probably wasn't the one that ended up taking them to that seven-figure mark. It was a,
mm,
a combination of things. It was going out, trying one thing, failing absolutely miserably, being told they were idiots, and then realizing, you know what? That was a mistake that we made. We were trying to fix this problem when that's not even a problem. It's this other thing that's really the problem. And if we fix that, all of this won't matter. And
mm,
so at that point, again, that's why I say you have to have a viable product to take to the world, because from there, you're literally just educating and entertaining anyone who might potentially become a client in the long run. Because a lot of the times they don't realize they even have that problem or that the solution exists for it yet. So part of our job as founders and as creators of these products and services is to understand that we have to educate and entertain the market in order for them to know, like, and trust us enough to do business with us. That's a big part that I think a lot of people forget about. All I can hear is an echo.
So, I mean, I, I wanted to understand, like, what are the most common, what are the most common, or like the biggest lessons you have learned when you started learning about personal branding that you wish you knew sooner because it would have benefited you.
When it comes to personal branding, the things that I really wish I'd have known sooner were to truly lean in on who I am. I think what the mistake that I made was seeing some of the more popular influencers and people in some of these spaces that I thought, well, if I do it like they do it, then it'll make sense because obviously they're making all the money, so the blueprint's there. If I just copy them, it'll make more money. And to an extent, it did. But I read a book called Steal Like an Artist Gentleman's name is Austin Kleon, Kleon. And inside that book, I learned a very important lesson about if you're always trying to be like someone who's already famous. So, if I was just trying to be the next Elon Musk, I'm always chasing what Elon Musk is doing. So I'll always be a few steps behind where he is because I have to wait for him to do the thing before I can copy it. Versus if I say, well, I like a little bit of what Elon did and I kind of like and how do I bring out my own true value to the marketplace, which is kind of like why I have meme lord tattooed on my knuckles. It's why I lean in on the fact that memes are a big part of who I am and my personal identity. And early on, people, hey, that's not very professional and I don't think that's going to work, and I sell $1 million products, I can't send a meme, they'll laugh me out of this industry. And okay, well, sure, maybe, but if a guy like Elon can literally make everything a meme and make billions of dollars, who says that they're not professional? It's just your perception of the situation. And to me, I think not really leaning in on that earlier, not really just having that authenticity of like, this is me, this is who I am and how I play the game, take it or leave it. I think that did cause, a delay in when I started getting success, because when I just went all in on being me and doing what I do best, I didn't have as many distractions. I didn't have as many things going on that would keep me from getting to the result that I was looking for.
Yeah, and I think what you mentioned is uh, pixel perfect, because unless and until you love yourself, unless and until you understand your own personality, how you can actually make it as a brand? Because imagine you're going out and you're looking at, have you seen the recent ad from KFC? They
I don't
keep
think so.
showing the plot is like they keep showing people who look a little bit weird, people, I don't know which side of inclination you have in US politics, but people who usually follow um, stupid politicians, let's say,
Sure.
and they just keep going, and then uh, I was looking at this ad and I found that okay, maybe this is ad about mental health or something. And in the end, they all goes to a chicken who is standing on a pillar or a bracket, and then he's doing like this, and then the ad ends, believe in chicken. Can you imagine that? But what made me chuckle, and then what made me realize that this ad is going to stick with me for long, because they didn't use any kind of tactics or any tricks, simply used a brand which is KFC, which is about chicken, which is about enjoying chicken, right? And that's when I realized, okay, no, this is marvelous. This is like the peak of marketing. They understand the girth of individual perception, right? And that's why they did it. And that's, I was discussing it with my partner when we were coming back from the cinema hall, and she's like, she's literally pulling my legs every time I'm eating chicken. Believe in chicken, believe in chicken. I'm like, okay. But yeah, I definitely add kudos to your point about personal branding, about who I am, be yourself, get confidence. These are the three things which I have taken from your
Well,
nuggets.
and what I love about this, and I want to take this a step further, Ash, because think about it. The Colonel, the original guy behind KFC, he had to go out and get people to believe in his chicken. And like, I don't know how much you know of that story of KFC, but that dude was old and broke and basically almost at the end of everything before anyone
Mm,
decided to trust him. And he hasn't even gotten to see the level at which his personal brand has grown into an absolute worldwide phenomenon. And
yeah.
for me, that's like, shamelessly, I think of Call the Damn Leads the same way. Yeah, I am not the first person on the planet that ever said Call the Damn Leads to someone. I am the person who was smart enough to go and trademark it because I thought it was good enough to put on a t-shirt and to sell as a product. So I have that going for me, which is cool. But it's going to outlive me for at some point. Call the Damn Leads is so much bigger than me as an individual. I'm just the champion behind the brand right now. At some
Mm,
point, we will have people all around the country, famous people, celebrities, like politicians, military people, even telling someone, call the Damn Leads. But for now, I have to champion the brand. I have to believe in it so much that I will keep screaming it from the top of the mountain, even if no one else believes. But that commercial is so fun because the level at which they've built their trust is basically to the point where they can go and make fun and say, hey, we would probably do a better job running this country than the current politicians. And people
indeed.
would believe them. And they'd go, you know what? You're probably right because the KFC chicken's good. Every time I go, it's good chicken. I know what I'm going to get. I know what to expect. I get those 12 herbs and spices. It's deep fried. It's got that little crispy crunch. That's what people want. They want comfort. They want consistency. And when you're building your brand, that's a part of getting people on board, is making them feel comfortable enough to not only support it, but to tell other people to be a part of it too.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. Great stuff. And before we move on to talk about more about your success story on social media, etc., what are the top three strategies you would recommend to our listeners about personal branding in 2024?
Create educational content, create entertaining content, and don't ever stop.
Entertaining and educational content. Perfect. Awesome. So let's talk about some personal experiences. Can you share a success story where social media significantly impacted your personal and professional growth?
I mean, yes, 1,000,000%. I've written 3 books, 2 of which went to bestseller status on Amazon only by posting on social media that, hey, I wrote this book and would you be willing to support it? And got to be a #1 bestseller on the Amazon list. And that's just one thing. One time we decided we wanted to raise money for charity. And I like to do endurance races and do hard, silly physical feats because it makes me feel good. And a lot of people think it's a stupid, dumb thing to do. So we decided, hey, we're going to get on. You ever see those little like Airdyne bikes, the little Schwinn bikes you ride in the gym that like are awful and you see people that are just miserable on them?
Yeah,
We
yeah.
decided, hey, we're going to ride the equivalent of 100 miles on one of these stupid air bikes. And so me and some friends of mine decided that while we were sitting on these air bikes for 7 straight hours in the 85-degree parking lot of his gym, we were going to go on social media and share the story. And for every mile that we rode personally, we all decided, hey, we're going to donate $1 to the charity of our choice, which at that time was the Champion Shoes, which helped underprivileged kids get shoes for school. And not only did we put our money in, but through social media, we were able to raise over $25,000 for this charity that was able to go and buy shoes for underprivileged school kids so that when they went back, they got that confidence of showing up in a pair of brand new shoes. Like, social media has changed my friggin' life, Ash. I could tell you a bunch of fun stories. Those are just a couple of quick ones that are top of mind from it's like, it's just a silly little thing we decided to do and it helped a lot of people.
Cool, cool. And how do you? So I know social media is a lot of work. Plus, you have a business. Plus, you keep traveling. Plus, you have all these, uh, c- call the damn leads and crush the day before it crushes your thing. How how do you integrate your personal life experience into your approach to leadership and running a business? I mean, this is too much.
No, it's exactly what we ask for as founders, Ash. The
Yeah.
difference is kind of what I said from the start of the show. We we all know how to make money. We have a skill set, we know how to do a thing, we have a product, we have a service, we all know how to make money. The thing that we can't make more of are the finite assets that I mentioned: time, energy, effort. You can't buy your time. You can't win it in a poker tournament. No one gets a box full of it on Christmas or whatever. You can't go back in time and put more energy or effort into a project that you didn't at that very time. And even right now, you can supplement and you can take energy supplements, caffeine, and whatever other things you might take to be more energized. But the truth is, there are limits to those things too. So when we are investing those assets, our time, energy, and effort, where are we investing them? What are we investing them in? And who are we investing them with? Because ultimately, as a leader, our job is to inspire those around us to take action and do the thing that we need them to do so that we can move on to the next thing in the process. Like literally, your job as a leader is to work yourself out of a job by giving the opportunity to someone else to step in and take up and take over so that you can move on to the next bigger project, which is how you continue to move the needle forward as a founder, and you just create more opportunity. But the only way to really get people to buy into it is to live as the example. And so for me, having worked with hundreds, if not thousands of founders and entrepreneurs over the last decade, have had the real blessing to meet a lot who have made a ton of money. And all of them said, hey man, the one thing that I wish I would have done more was spend time with my family, to be with my loved ones, to build relationships. So I'm taking that lesson very early on and saying, is there an opportunity that I could go make more money than what I'm making now? Yes, potentially. But I'm not willing to sacrifice the one thing that I know everyone who's older and more successful than me wishes they had, which is their time. So I live by a very strict strategy where I invest 6 hours a day into 4 areas of my life that are very important. Sleep and recovery is number 1, because if you've ever been on a bender or stayed up for a long time working on a project, you're basically useless. So you understand we all have to sleep and recover. Family and relationships is typically what most of us put as like our why, that legacy idea. And then our business, because we all got to make money. We all have a thing that we need to do. And what happens to a lot of founders is they put themselves last. They forget to take care of themselves. They forget to work out. They forget to personally develop and think about these things, to work on their spirituality, which is why they get out of shape. They get mad. They have heart attacks, right? They don't do well. But my theory is this: if I want to live a balanced life and I get 24 hours in a day, I'll spend 6 hours sleeping. I'll spend 6 hours on me, developing me so that I can be the peak performer I need to be, so that when I show up for 6 hours in my relationships or 6 hours in my business, I'm taking care of business and I'm getting things done. Because if you've ever spent 6 hours focused on a project you really like, you can get a ton of things done. Same as if you've ever went and spent 6 hours with someone that you really love and really just enjoy, that time can create memories that last a lifetime. So if you just operate like that every day with intention, and you know, hey, these assets that I can't get more of, I'm going to invest very seriously and measure their return. That to me is the secret to leadership, because you're setting the example for everyone who comes behind you.
Definitely. And getting inspired from your story, I think there are a couple of things which I want to ask you, which is like it's my personal, it's for my personal benefit. I think if I ask you this question, it will benefit our listeners as well as me. You've lost 100 pounds. How did you mentally prepare yourself for that transformation, and how can others apply that mindset? That's my first question, and I'll go with the second one later.
So the preparation for that was, I've actually lost 100 pounds twice in my life, Ash. I lost it the first time because at 20-ish years old, I looked at the scale. I was 315 pounds, and I looked around me, and I didn't have no one that wanted to love me or to touch me or to be physical with me. I didn't have the energy to go out and do the things that I wanted to do in my life, like riding my BMX bike or going on, trips to places. And I was like, I got to change. I don't want to be that person. So I lost 100 pounds. I basically just stopped eating garbage. I gave up sugary drinks. I, focused on really just getting myself in order. And I lost the weight. And then what happened is I had the confidence because I felt good about myself, because I looked better, and I was like, this is awesome. And I met a beautiful young lady who decided, she was like, yeah, I want to touch you and have fun with you and go on dates and do all these things. And then I got comfortable. And that comfort led me to putting back on another 75 pounds because I didn't have the discipline to keep doing the things that I knew I needed to do to maintain the result. And this is what happens to a lot of people is they go out and they put in the work for a little while, they get the result, other things and variables start playing into it, and then they stop doing the work that got them the result, and they fall back to getting the exact thing that they had in the past. So when my wife came to me at some point along the way and was like, "Hey man, I love you and we have an amazing relationship and we're, this is great, but you're not the man that I married, because the man that I married was putting in the work, was doing these things to maintain his health. And now that, you have me and we have this son, there are things we need to prioritize." And as a man, a friend of mine at the time came to me, Ash, and he said, "Hey, listen, Drewbie, you're working hard, you're making a little money, you got a beautiful wife and a son. Like, how would it feel if it was just boom, all of a sudden you blink and you're in heaven looking down and there's some other jerk in your bed with your wife and your son's in the other room crying because you're not around anymore because you had a heart attack, because you didn't take the time to take care of yourself and make sure that you were there for the long time to protect the things that you say matter the most."
Wow, that's deep.
And so, yeah, it punched me real deep, Ash. It got me right there in the gut. And it was a realization of, what? A lot of people that we meet, founders, entrepreneurs, they say that they're doing all of these things for this legacy, for their family and all of that. And I love that. I support that because it's very important. But if you're not taking care of yourself and making sure you're operating at the best level you can be, how can you say that you're doing all of that for everyone else? It's just not
Indeed,
true. And so I think
indeed.
getting in alignment with, hey, I'm going to take care of me and make sure I have everything I need to be at peak performance, it will actually give you more energy to go and take care of the people that matter to you most.
Indeed, indeed, definitely. And that's why I took a little bit of liberty and draw something for listeners and YouTubers who will be looking at
Ooh.
our, podcasts. So, what we have learned from Drewbie. First thing we have learned is about making sure that we have our mindset correct, because that's the first thing you need to figure out in your life. Now, how do you figure out your mindset? Following some good habits. You need to exercise, you need to sleep and recover, you need to spend time with your family and friends, and obviously, you need money, so you need to look after your business. Sorry for drawing this fairy because
I'm
I know
loving
that.
this. This is beautiful. This is, will you send this to me, Ash, please?
Yeah,
I would really
definitely.
appreciate that. That would be great.
Definitely, definitely. And then what we have learned from Ruby today is, in order to run a successful business, you need to understand your TAM, your problem, the problem you're solving for others, so that you can make sales. And obviously, you need to solve the problem in a space where people actually are ready to spend some money upon. For example, if you're walking on the road and you're solving a problem to cross the road, that is not going to get you any money, right? You just take hands, cross the road, no money. Just some, points for you when you go to heaven, if you believe it into that or not. But otherwise, it will not. Once you understand a common problem which you want to solve and you're passionate about, you need to go out and you create your minimum viable product, which could be sellable. Now, one of the things which I've learned in my personal journey is, if you're not embarrassed by your MVP, you're too late to release it. So release it as soon as possible. You need to be very, very embarrassed of your MVP. That's there.
Yep.
Another thing which we learned today, there is outbound, there's inbound, there's multiple kind of marketing techniques, but the specific case we have analyzed today was about real estate people and their pain point about marketing and sales. And that's why to be suggested that getting in touch with your network, getting onto social media, creating content, educational content, connecting with public real estate communities will bring you tons of lead, which will definitely convert into customers. And finally, the iteration part. No business, even Instagram, started as something else, and now they are picture. I think YouTube started as a dating app for videos, and now they're like the biggest video sharing platform. So it's all about iteration, pivoting where your product market fit is. And I guess that's sort of like summarize our whole conversation today. Not forgetting about what are the precious things in your life. It's not money, it's your time, it's your energy, it's your effort, where you put them, what kind of ROI you look when you invest these precious assets of yours. Is there anything I forgot, or do you want to add something into it?
Honestly, Ash, I think you have done an amazing job of drawing this out. That's why I want a copy of it personally, because I think I'm just gonna swipe what you already made for me. I don't have to reinvent the wheel here. That's the beautiful thing about wonderful people like you and I, is we will share what we have learned and what has worked for us with others that are willing to listen. I think the biggest thing to add to all of this is trust the process. It's not going to happen overnight. You're going to have to do a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of time. Anyone who's built anything great will tell you it took a long time, and they're
Hmm.
still building. They're going to tell you we're not even done. There's so much more to be done, but you have to take action to get a result, and you have to trust the process when you get started.
Perfect. Perfect. Awesome. So let's get into our lightning round. I've got 6 quick fire questions for you, and you can answer them as quickly as possible. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready. Let's do this.
Great. What are the top 3 strategies to generate leads in 2024?
Social media, creating great content, and calling the people on the list that you already have.
Perfect. What book would you recommend to our audience and why?
The Alchemist, because as a founder, you are on a journey. And I think The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho does a great job of talking about what that journey is going to be like in a way that's very, very relatable.
Awesome. What's one attribute or characteristic in your mind of a successful founder?
They are stubborn as hell.
They need to be, isn't it?
The
Great. What's your favorite personal productivity tool or habit?
calendar.
You won't believe me. 8 out of 10 people whom I interviewed on this, show, they always focus upon their calendars. Mostly successful people, organized people are successful people. So there you
Time
go.
is it, man. Time is how you
Yeah,
stay organized. Time is the most valuable thing we have. So we got to make the best use of it that we can.
definitely. What's a new or a crazy business idea you would love to pursue if you had time?
If I had time, I would love to, and I've already started this, but a freeze dried candy brand named Astro Nibbles, which is a fun
Mhm.
side project that me and my son kind of started, but we just don't have time to build it out yet.
Awesome. I hope to see that one of the days in the retail store, and then I'll
Me
say,
too.
look, son, I know the guy who invented these.
Yes, sir.
And last but not least, what's an interesting or fun fact about you that most people don't know?
I am a terrible dancer.
Come on, really?
I have zero rhythm. I'm Ash. I'm very pattern oriented, so I could play Guitar Hero like a champion. But if you ask me to play a real guitar, I can't keep a rhythm for the life of me. I can play the patterns, I can tap the keys, but I cannot shake these hips uh, for nothing.
Never mind. Next time you're in London, we're gonna go to a disco and then we're gonna dance.
I'll come.
Great, Ruby.
I'll shake my hands. We'll have fun, man. I can't wait.
Ruby, thank you so much for joining me and sharing your story and packing years of building this business and some of the ups and downs. If people want to check out Call the Damn Leads, if they want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do it?
The best thing they could do would be share this specific episode that they listen to on the social media platform they use the most, and then tag at Call the Damn Leads. The idea here is that if you enjoyed this conversation and you got value out of it, I want you to share this first, because this is the thing that made a difference in your life. And I'm sure it can help someone else. So if you share it and tag us, we'll see it. We'll be able to reach out and have a conversation. If you want to know more, you don't want to share it, you just want to check us out, go to callthedamnleads.com. We're everywhere you would want us to be, but see what we have going on. There's a ton of resources, tools. I give away lots of training to help young, aspiring founders and sales professionals build the systems and processes they need to build a sustainable life of success, because it doesn't matter how fast it grows, if you don't have a system to maintain it, it's not going to last long.
Indeed, indeed. Drewbie, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your inspiring journey and the impactful work you're doing with through the Call the Damn Leads. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on Founders Podcast.
Thank you, Ash. I appreciate your time.
Thank you all for tuning into this episode of Founders Podcast. I hope you found our conversation with Drewbie insightful and inspiring. Stay inspired, stay motivated, and keep building.